I can like it too. Cynthia? Babe? There's nothing in the fridge. I got your juice. Hey, there's chips everywhere. Hey, if you're gonna have people over, can you have them clean up afterwards? The water's running. Cynthia, where are you? I got juice for you. I tried to call. There you are. What are you doing watching TV? What are you in the bathroom or something? I've been trying to call you for 17 minutes. Cynthia? Cynthia! Cynthia!
What's up, everybody? I'm Ryan.
And I'm Jacob.
Welcome out to another exciting episode of Retro Reviews. Today we are talking about a toy that took the 90s by storm.
It looks something like a hamster and some sort of evil cross-pollination with a mutant gremlin.
Some say its voice alone can send some small mammals trembling in fear.
Of course, we're talking about the legendary
Furby.
Me Amanda. Me May. That's Furby.
Furby first appeared in 1998 at the International Toy Fair. It was the joint child of Dave Hampton and Caleb Chung. They created this thing together, and in 9 months, Furby was born. I'm not kidding though, it took 9 months to manufacture this thing, not,
It was a coincidence.
It was just a coincidence. Furby was the first successful robotic toy that could mimic learning language over time.
Following their launch, Furbies became so popular they were impossible to get. They sold 27 million in the first year alone. However, their triumph wouldn't last forever. The Furby success would trickle out over the next decade until seeing a Furby on a shelf was a rare sight in 2007.
In 2012, Hasbro decided to try things again. They loaded the Furby up with all new technology. While sales increased, it was still a shadow of the former glory that it once was.
Oh, how the furry have fallen. Since the beginning of 1998, we've seen about 13 different variations of this same Furby idea.
Now, as soon as the original Furby came out, they're like, we can do one better. We can make it more high-tech and smaller, like every single smartphone on the market. So they created the Furby Baby.
Here, I want to hold it.
This thing is smaller than the original, and I believe it's not as noisy as the original.
By like a half an inch, it's about as small. So I understand Furbies are not native to this land.
No. Okay, so Furbies come from Furby Island, where they are born and they live with other Furbies until they decide to come over to America.
As legend tells.
As legend tells.
You can find the legend on the box.
Right there. Furbies have a vocabulary of 160 words, and that can be used in various ways to create about 1,000 plus sentences or phrases.
Oh, really? Name all of them now.
Ha! Witaka Lulu.
Witaka Wilu.
Witi Kawati.
Furby! Unai nu leidu.
Unai A Tedu.
Hey. Unai bolu.
Unai We Loni We.
Unai no law. Just like simple eye contact, left and right movement.
You throwing some dad moves?
Are you doing the electric slide for real? I can move for a big man. With your bad self.
So let's talk about the structure here of Furby a little bit. So there's an internal motor that drives this whole thing, and he's got various sensors all over his body so he can interact with you. There is a back sensor, a front tickling sensor.
Yeah, I have sensors like that all over my body.
It has a light infrared sensor between its eyes, so it can tell when things are bright, when things are dark, but it also uses this to communicate with other Furbies.
You can check if it's like maintaining its sobriety.
Furby has a tilt sensor, so when Furby falls asleep, you can't wake him up with loud noises, you have to tilt him upside down. Furby has a tongue sensor.
As we all do, so it's not weird.
So to feed Furby, you stick your finger in his mouth.
That's why he's got a blood red tongue.
That's how you're supposed to feed him food. He eats,
The blood is the life.
yeah. So now that we know about the structure of Furby and you've had a chance to play around with Furby, what do you think?
I mean, can I hold the little guy here? I think they're pretty interesting to look at and to play with. I mean, I don't know about the longevity of the use of the toy. It was certainly like an interesting flash in the pan when it came out, and they kept going forward with it. So there must have been something there that connected with kids. I get that you made a toy that was mechanical and it was covered in fur and it talks to you and it has a beak and ears, but the long Giselle eyelashes, like a supermodel, like it'll put you right there. Okay, it's just like 90% cool, 10% ew. And I get it now. You know, I think it's just sort of like, it gives you an experience when you play with it. And more our toys from then until now have started to do that sort of model.
And I remember the cool thing about Furby is that it does learn language over time, or it mimics learning language over time. So it's like a new experience every single time that you pick up your Furby, because it seems like it's learning something from you and you're learning something from it.
I'd say probably a really good toy for kids that were in a situation where they weren't allowed to have an animal in the house, or not allowed to have the responsibility of something like that. So you had something that gave you an experience of interaction. You know, I think more and more that sort of thing became popularized over the last couple of decades.
Yeah, you can have an imaginary friend, or you can have a robotic friend, Furby, or I guess you can have a real friend.
Yeah,
But who wants one of those as a kid?
No, everybody does. Well, that's so sad that you would say that. What do you think is coming to your mind now that you've had a chance to have a second experience at it as an adult?
I mean, it's a little outdated. The technology is still outdated, but the fun factor is still there. It's still a fun toy to have and to play with.
I'd say it's about as complicated as anything you'd see, you know, at the store now that doesn't have to have a screen on it. Basically, the motorized function, the talking, the sensors that cause it to interact with the other Furbies, you know, I think that was pretty innovative and probably why it lasted as long as it did.
Yeah. Nostalgia factor, go.
I'd say definitely like a 9 out of 10. It definitely, when you play with this or look at the box, and see a little time capsule they put it in, makes you think about the commercial and seeing these on the news, because that was a big major event of the land rush on trying to get Furbies around Christmas time, 98, 99.
Man, I waited in line for my Furby the day it came out. I remember waking up at like 4 a.m. with my parents, marching off to Toys R Us and just waiting in line to get a Furby.
So that was like a momentous occasion. So yeah,
It was a big deal.
you're probably scoring huge nostalgia bucks on this thing.
Yeah.
For the weirdness factor here, how would you rate that?
It was an unusual product when it came out, which is why I think it took off. There wasn't anything like it on the market, and it was like this interactive pet that you could have that wasn't a pet, you know, it was a robot. I don't know if I'd say that's necessarily weird, but it set it apart as something different.
Okay.
What about you?
I'd say it's super weird. What's wrong with you? It's covered in fur. Look at the ears and little like Mr. T thing going on here. And everything that it does is just sort of, it's like funny, but it reinforces my idea that kids kind of like things that are fun, but also kind of creepy too. I think they banked hard on its weirdness to capture the imagination of kids.
Now, big question, did it stand the test of time?
I think absolutely. This is still relevant, still a thing that you would get. The modern ones that have been updated here with new technology, those are really fantastic. I think they're really have made a lot of really important changes to make it more fun. But yeah, I think even these original models, I think you give that to any kid that's of the appropriate age, and they would have the kind of experience that was crafted to design. It was fun and interactive.
Even without the updated technology, I feel like Furby is still relevant. He's a bit noisy, so if it was the same features and less noisy, it could definitely 100% be something that was on the market right now.
Well, folks, thanks for watching. I think we've covered the Furby as extensively and as scientifically as we possibly could. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you liked it, click that like button. That really helps us. And subscribe if you want to keep watching the latest retro reviews.
See you next time. Should we do something funny afterwards or what?